Welcome back to Congruent Academy, the place for people in process. Cal here, with the second episode of a new series centered around my favorite subreddit, r/DecidingToBeBetter. I'll read some of the top posts from the subreddit, share some of my thoughts, and hopefully hear some of your comments and thoughts down below. This episode is going to cover heartbreak, trusting in oneself, accepting your intrinsic value, and dealing with mistakes made in a relationship. I should tell you that I am not a licensed medical professional, and I do my best to not give advice, but instead to reflect and share what ideas come up for me, whatever that means for you. These are videos designed ultimately to entertain, encourage, and inspire, but some are triggering, and I don't always know what I'm talking about. So if you need to talk to someone, I have left some resources in the video description down below. But before I get into it, if you believe in the power of encouragement and nuance, be sure to like the video and subscribe to our channel. It's free and helps promote those forces to a larger audience, which we need now more than ever. And with that, let's hear from some people in process.
If you want to make a change today, you are deciding to be better.
And that's a good thing. Yeah. First, husband said he made my 7:30 a.m. appointment for Tuesday. Got there, and it was on Thursday. Posted by user Girl Got Your Goat. Title sums things up. Husband told me he scheduled my dentist appointment for next Tuesday at 7:30 a.m., and I arrived. The lady behind the counter looked confused, double-checked. It is on Thursday. We have 3 kids under 2, twins, and having someone to watch them while we are both out of the house is super challenging. We had everything arranged for Tuesday, not this Thursday, so it's a huge hassle. Not to mention, since it was a dental appointment, I skipped my coffee this morning. Did I get mad at my husband? Initially, yes. Then I made myself stop and think it through. Would he ever purposefully set me up to fail like that? No, he's my partner. We do our best to lift each other up and make our lives easier. I can be annoyed at the situation, but assigning blame helps nobody, unless this was a repeated problem or something of that nature. I grew up watching my parents fight and blame each other for every little thing, instead of coming together and solving problems as a team. I'm deciding to be better by not having that mindset in my marriage. It helps. A lot. Edit. This is a really wholesome and supportive community. Edit 2. Why didn't I schedule my own appointment? Well, I did. I scheduled both our appointments for a week earlier at the same day and time, but our babysitter fell through. My husband let him know and rescheduled mine because it was more convenient that way. For the individuals that said, quote, if you did it yourself, you'd have no issues. When you're in a committed relationship and you have a partner to rely on for these types of things, sometimes mistakes happen. But if I can't rely on my husband, I don't see any point in being married. I appreciate how this person was able to put the mistakes made into perspective and remembering the importance of intention. The user also sets clear boundaries as to what her expectations in a relationship are, acknowledging that mistakes will be made, and that while they can be annoying, this person has the awareness and capacity to express their love through problem solving rather than just burying it with resentment. Number 2. It's okay to just exist sometimes, posted by a user Fjord220. Just a reminder that you do not need to achieve anything major in your life to justify your existence. Just living and breathing and taking in the world is more than enough. Don't be too hard on yourself. Let yourself be without the pressure of doing. Heart emoji. I struggle with this. Oftentimes, I see my value to the world as what I was able to achieve in a given day, and that makes days where I don't get as much done as I'd like to quite difficult. If I feel like I need the internal pressure and judge in order to perform at a higher level, then I'll tend to accept those greater levels of stress when I take action, but that's a slippery slope, especially when my level of competence I hold in a particular domain doesn't currently stack up with where I'd like to be. I'll definitely do another series of videos on my experience and thoughts about stress. Again, I'm no doctor, please remember that. But I do know that burnout is a real thing, and in my experience, it tends to come from overworking and underfueling. Perfect time for a truck to pass. Burning the candles at both ends, as they say. moving on. Today, I trusted my gut and chose not to rekindle an old flame. By user, Vancouver Veg. Recently, my ex reached out to me asking if I wanted to talk. Based on context, I can safely presume his goal was to gauge whether I was interested in getting back together. Our relationship was passionate but chaotic, and on too many different occasions, I had found myself coming back to it only to remember why I had left it before. Today, I politely but firmly told him I wasn't the same person I was before, and that I think it's best we don't rehash the past anymore. It was surprisingly hard to send that message, but I found solace in the fact that I've finally grown enough to recognize what is and isn't good for me, and to be strong enough not to fall back into what is a comfortable habit that no longer serves me. Here's to moving forward, not back. Rejecting someone, especially someone that you have a history with, can be particularly difficult, whether they be a friend or, in this case, a past romantic partner. It can hurt to be the one to close the door on someone, but sometimes that has to happen. Obviously, without knowing the details of this person's story, I can't speak to all the aspects of the person's experience of intimacy, but for my part, I appreciate the nuance of their perspective. Recognizing that there's a certain appeal that comes from something chaotic and passionate and familiar, but that pales in comparison to the values and goals of what they have now and what they want to have going forward. When I read this, I get the sense that this person's sense of worth is a healthy one, because it's a sacrifice to not go back to old patterns. And change is the result of awareness and decisions. So I'm glad this person made the best decision for them, and hopefully both people continue to grow for the better. Number 4. I had to break a heart, but I did it like no one ever did for me. By user, why am I only 5 feet tall? I had reached the decision to leave my significant other, and was working my way to it. But I found out from a friend he was going to propose. I had to rip the band-aid off, or else it ended in me taking the easy route and crushing the dreams of a yes. That seems far more cruel. It seems way worse to pretend to love someone for longer because I'm afraid of the consequences. That seems like it would be an unexpected sucker punch. So I did what no one ever did for me, and I told him exactly why. And I talked it through several times for him to understand. And I'm going to let him get closure. And I'm not going to be cruel and selfish about it, like they were to me. I never once got closure in my past breakups. They just broke my heart and disappeared because they didn't want to deal with the aftermath of their decisions. To me, that's selfish and wrong, so I sucked it up, and I was brave, and I did everything in my power to do it right. I think this was the right thing to do. Instead of just disappearing and leaving him in a pool of self-doubt and heartache, I hope that makes it easier on him. And while I feel like a sack of human water trash and have to face it for a while, I feel this is the fair and just way to do it. It's fresh and painful, or both parties involved. Very hard to do. I am happy that I've come to this point, and decided to be better when no one did that for me. Wish me luck, Reddit. Oh yeah, this took some heart and some guts to do. Being responsible for the heartache of someone else can trigger feelings of guilt and shame. That's probably why it's so common these days for people to not have that conversation and just ghost. To help the other person understand and get closure, as opposed to abandoning them with no explanation. And there's no value judgment I'm making here. Sometimes that way of ending things is the most appropriate given the circumstances. But for this particular post, I hope it went well as it could, for the OP of course. And thank you for treating the other person the way that you'd like to be treated. So, that does it for this week's episode of r/DecidingToBeBetter by Congruent Academy. Please share your thoughts in the comment section down below, and until next time, power to the people and process.